Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for all English medium UPSC aspirants. Welcome to the first session of Conquer Prelims Phase 2. In today's class, I'll be covering the most important static topics from science and technology. At the end of each of these topics, I will also provide some practice questions so that you will get an idea about what kind of questions you can expect in the examination. Do provide your answers in the comments after the session. You can download the PDF of the session and the explanation for today's practice questions in this Telegram channel. Before we start the session, a very important announcement. For the first time ever, we are offering flat 55% discount on Unacademy subscriptions. This offer is valid only till 22nd February. Do enroll before it is late. With this subscription, you will get access to all our GS, CSAT, test series, crash courses and the doubt clearing sessions. Let us now start our session. The first few topics of today's session are from nutrition. Let us try to understand the types of nutrients. We have two types of nutrients. The first type is micronutrients, means we need them in very small quantities. Examples: vitamins and minerals. The second type are the macronutrients, means we need these nutrients in large quantities. All the macronutrients are related to the four basic biomolecules and the associated biopolymers that make up our body. In our body, all our cells are made up of four basic biomolecules and the associated biopolymers. They form the macronutrients in our food. The first one is amino acids and the associated biopolymers are proteins. The second one being fatty acids. They are the building blocks of different types of fats. And the third one, sugars. Sugars are the third type of biomolecules and they form the biopolymers called as carbohydrates. And the fourth one being nucleotides. Nucleotides are the biomolecules and the associated biopolymers are nucleic acids. We have two types of nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. As you all know, DNA is our genetic material. Means we can conveniently say that out of all the four biopolymers, the most important biopolymers are the nucleic acids. Therefore, our body manufactures the total amount of nucleic acids that we need for our survival. Means we need not consume the nucleic acids in our food. This is the reason why we will never listen a nutritionist advising eating a bit of DNA or RNA in your breakfast or lunch. We don't have to consume DNA, RNA, that is nucleic acids in our food. The other three biopolymers will form the macronutrients of our food. In today's session, we are discussing primarily about these macronutrients, that is proteins, fats and carbohydrates. Firstly, we are discussing about the types of fats. The first one being fatty acids. A fatty acid is made up of a very long carbon chain, CH3, CH2, CH2, so many CH2 molecules, and on the other end you have a COOH. A long carbon chain ended with COOH is called as a fatty acid. In the fatty acids, we have two types. One is saturated fat, and the other one is unsaturated fat. In the saturated fatty acid, in the carbon chain, in the carbon backbone, we will find only the single bonds. We do not find any multiple bonds, that is double bond or triple bond. You can observe all the single bonds in this carbon chain. Such a fatty acid is called saturated fat. But in this carbon chain, if you have any multiple bonds, that is a double bond or a triple bond, a multiple bond, then we call it as unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fats can be further subdivided into two types. Monounsaturated fatty acids MUFAs and polyunsaturated fatty acids PUFAs. Monounsaturated fatty acid means in the carbon chain you will find only one multiple bond, that is only one double or triple bond. But in the polyunsaturated fatty acids we can find more than one double or triple bond. Let us try to understand with the help of these images. This is a saturated fat. You can observe that in this carbon chain you have only the single bonds. You cannot observe the double or triple bond. We are observing only the single bonds. Therefore, this is a saturated fat. And here this is an unsaturated fat. This is an unsaturated fat. Why this is an unsaturated fat? Because you can observe a carbon-carbon double bond. This is a double bond. Therefore, we call this as an unsaturated fat. But what kind of an unsaturated fat it is? Let us count the number of multiple bonds in this carbon chain. You can find only one multiple bond, that is a double or a triple bond. Only one double bond in the entire carbon chain. So therefore, one means mono, we call this as monounsaturated fatty acid. But in this fatty acid, you can observe one double bond here, carbon-carbon double bond, and another carbon-carbon double bond, there is one and two. Two multiple bonds in the carbon chain of this fatty acid. So more than one unsaturated bond. Poly means many, polyunsaturated fatty acid. So these are the three types of fatty acids. Okay, right. Now let us try to understand the health benefits or the harm due to these three types of fatty acids. Firstly, about the saturated fatty acids. The saturated fatty acids, as we have already understood, they do not have double bonds or triple bonds in their carbon chain. And they are generally solid at room temperature. This is an important point to understand which is a saturated fat, which is an unsaturated fat. How to know whether the fat we are consuming is a saturated or unsaturated fat. The saturated fats are solid at room temperature. Why like that? Look at the structure of the saturated fat. In the saturated fat, the carbon chains are straight. So they will form a proper structure like this. So it will become very difficult to disturb this structure. But when you observe the unsaturated fats, you can easily notice that wherever there is a double bond, the carbon chain will have a bend in the structure, bend. Wherever there is a double bond, there is a bend in the structure. It means the fatty acid will be like this. Instead of like this, it will be like this. It is difficult to disturb this kind of a structure because it is tightly packed. Therefore, you need a very high temperature to melt this type of a fat or also you need a very high effort to digest this type of fat. It means it is difficult to digest the saturated fat. Whereas the unsaturated fat, because of its bended structure, not straight like this, because of its bended structure, it is not properly organized. So it is easy to disturb its structure. Means you need lesser heat to melt it, or you need lesser efforts to digest it. So from the common sense we can understand that the saturated fats are not very healthy for us, whereas unsaturated fats are healthy for us. The examples of saturated fats are meats and the solid fats like butter, ghee, etc. And these saturated fats are linked to an increased risk of heart diseases and diabetes. Excess consumption of the saturated fatty acids can lead to diabetes and heart problems. The second type are monounsaturated fatty acids. They have only one double bond in their carbon chain. They are found in healthy oils like olive oils. Okay, this kind of oils are liquid in the room temperature. Like ghee and butter, they are not solid in the room temperature. They can lower the bad cholesterol, but this may lead us to another question: what is bad cholesterol? We are going to discuss about the types of cholesterol, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol after some time, okay, once we complete about these fatty acids. But the monounsaturated fatty acids have a role of lowering the bad cholesterol and improving the good cholesterol. From this we can understand that the monounsaturated fatty acids are healthy for us. They can promote the mood and alleviate depression and anxiety. Consumption of good quantities of course not in excess, nothing is good in excess. The sufficient quantities of monounsaturated fatty acids will alleviate the problems like depression and anxiety. Okay, and then polyunsaturated fatty acids. They have two or more double bonds in their carbon chain. Examples: walnuts, sunflower seeds, flax seeds. They are very healthy and they are also anti-inflammatory properties. They have anti-inflammatory properties, and like monounsaturated fatty acids, they can also alleviate the problems of depression and anxiety. We call them as heart healthy oils, whereas saturated fats are not healthy for our heart. Now, after completing the three types of fatty acids, now let us see what are the essential fatty acids. The two essential fatty acids are alpha linolenic acid and alpha linoleic acid. But when I say that these are the only two essential fatty acids for us, what does it mean? Does it mean that we do not need the other types of fatty acids? No. For our body, all fatty acids are essential. Even the saturated fats are good when you take in the optimum quantity. The healthiness or the harmful nature are only in terms of relativity. I mean, relatively unsaturated fats are healthy when compared to the saturated fatty acids. Doesn't mean that we don't need the saturated fats at all. So, including the saturated fatty acids, for our body, all fatty acids are essential. Then what do I mean by saying that only these are the two essential fatty acids? For our body, all fatty acids are essential, but these two are essential in the food. They are essential components of our food. It means our body cannot manufacture. Our body cannot manufacture these fatty acids. So essentially, compulsorily, we have to consume them in our food. So two such fatty acids are alpha linolenic acid, which is an example for omega-3 fatty acid. What do you mean by omega-3 fatty acid? Omega-3 fatty acid means it will have a double bond at the third carbon. From the end at the third carbon it will have a double bond. We call such fatty acids are omega-3 fatty acids. Example, alpha linolenic acid. What do you mean by omega-6 fatty acid? From the end of the fatty acid, if you observe, if the sixth carbon is having a double bond, sixth carbon from the end is having a double bond, we call it as omega 6 fatty acid. Example for omega 6 fatty acid is linoleic acid. Omega 3 fatty acid alpha linolenic acid, omega 6 fatty acid linoleic acid. We know that they are rich in flax seeds, fish oils, etc. They are the most healthy oils that we must consume, okay, because our body cannot manufacture these fatty acids. So we are calling them as essential fatty acids. Now let us discuss about the trans fats. What are the trans fats? To understand the trans fats, we have to know about the terms cis and trans. Cis and trans are the two configurations. A configuration means what? Spatial arrangement. The difference is in the spatial arrangement of the hydrogen atoms. Before we see the cis and trans fatty acids, first point is the trans fats are formed by the hydrogenation process, a process called as hydrogenation. Let us try to understand this process. See, this is a fatty acid, CH3, CH2, C, triple bond C, CH2, a few more CH2s and COOH. This is a fatty acid. As you all studied in your school days, a carbon is having a valency of 4. It means one carbon atom can form 4 bonds. So here this carbon is forming one bond with the previous carbon and 3 bonds with the next carbon. Same way, this carbon is also forming one bond with the next carbon and 3 bonds with the previous carbon. This is a fatty acid. And what kind of a fatty acid it is? It is a type of unsaturated fatty acid. Unsaturated fat. Why this is an unsaturated fat? Because there is a multiple bond here. There is a triple bond here. Now, let us suppose I am adding hydrogen to it. What are we doing? We are adding hydrogen to it. Okay. When we add hydrogens, 2 hydrogens, I am adding one hydrogen on this carbon atom and the other hydrogen on this carbon atom. Now this carbon is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is not possible. So therefore, this double bond will change into, this triple bond will change into a double bond because carbon can form only 4 bonds. When we add 2 hydrogens, the triple bond will change into a double bond. It means now this particular carbon is forming 2 bonds here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So, this process is called as hydrogenation. Why this is called hydrogenation? Because we are adding the hydrogens. We are adding the hydrogens to this fatty acid. Therefore, it is called as hydrogenation. Trans fats are formed by the hydrogenation, which is a chemical process in which hydrogen molecules, as you see here, hydrogen molecules are added to the unsaturated fatty acid. Look at here, this is an unsaturated fatty acid. To this unsaturated fatty acid, we are adding the hydrogen atoms. Therefore, we call this process as hydrogenation. We add hydrogen atoms to this unsaturated fat in the presence of a catalyst. The catalyst will trigger, speed up this particular reaction. So this process is called as hydrogenation. Now, okay, hydrogenation is completed. 2 hydrogen atoms are added. With the addition of 2 hydrogen atoms, this double bond, the triple bond became the double bond. But now, depending on where the two hydrogen atoms are added. Depending on where the two hydrogen atoms are added. Look at here. If the two hydrogen atoms are added on the same side of the carbon chain, we call it as cis fat. If the after hydrogenation process, if the two hydrogens are added to the same side of the carbon chain, it is called cis fat. If they are added, look at here, one hydrogen is added on one side of the carbon chain and the other hydrogen is added on the other side of the carbon chain. Then we call this kind of fat as the trans fat, whereas cis and trans are two types of configurations. Spatial arrangement, that is in the space how the hydrogen atoms are arranged. In the space, if they are arranged on the same side of the carbon chain, they are called cis fats, and if they are arranged on either side of the carbon chain, they are called trans fats. The trans fats are the most unhealthy fats that we can have in our diet. The most unhealthy fats that we can have in our diet. Why like that? What is the problem with the trans fats? All the fats that we have in our body, listen this carefully, all the fats that we have in our body naturally are all cis fats. All natural fats are cis fats. And these trans fats are made, as you can see in this diagram, these trans fats are made by a process called as hydrogenation. Hydrogenation means we are artificially making the trans fats. Because our natural fats are cis fats, our digestive enzymes can recognize only the cis fats. They cannot recognize the trans fats. So it is very difficult for us to digest the trans fats. With this, what happens? They will get accumulated. They will get transported to our blood vessels and they will get deposited in the blood vessels like this. I mean, they will form a fatty plaque. They will form a fatty plaque or plaque, the way you want to pronounce it. Okay, so that what happens? The blood flow will get obstructed. I repeat, most of our natural fats are cis fats. Trans fats are made artificially by adding the hydrogen atoms here. They are made artificially by adding the hydrogen atoms by a process called as hydrogenation. So our digestive enzymes cannot easily digest the trans fats. So they will get accumulated in our body. They will get transported to the blood vessels, will get deposited there, will form a fatty plaque there. Because of this, there will be an obstruction in the blood flow to the heart. Okay, this leads to a particular condition called as atherosclerosis. This leads to a particular condition called as atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis. What is atherosclerosis? Fatty deposition, plaques in the blood vessels, so that there will be an obstruction to blood flow. This condition is called as atherosclerosis. Okay, obstructions in the blood flow because of the fatty deposition in the blood vessels. So this is the problem with the trans fats. Trans fats are the most harmful fats that we can consume. Okay, so the trans fats are formed by the hydrogenation, which is a chemical process in which hydrogen molecules are added to the unsaturated fatty acids, usually in the presence of a catalyst. Unlike the naturally occurring unsaturated fats, what are the naturally occurring unsaturated fats? Cis fats. The trans fats have a different geometric shape. Look at here, this is a different geometric shape here. Okay, the naturally occurring cis fats have a geometric shape like this, both hydrogens on one side of the carbon chain. This is a geometric shape of the trans fats. These are our natural fats, whereas these are the artificial fats made by a process called as hydrogenation. Okay, then these fats have a different geometric shape due to the arrangement of hydrogen atoms. What is the problem with the trans fats? They increase the bad cholesterol, decrease the good cholesterol. This particular combination is very harmful. Okay, high levels of bad cholesterol, low levels of good cholesterol is a very harmful condition. By the way, what is good cholesterol, what is bad cholesterol? As I told you, we will be discussing in the next topic. In the types of cholesterol, I will cover that. What is LDL, which is called bad cholesterol, and HDL, which is called good cholesterol. What are they? Why LDL is called bad cholesterol? Why HDL is called as good cholesterol? First of all, what is the cholesterol? We are going to understand all those things, okay, in next few minutes. But for the time being, the trans fats will increase the bad cholesterol and decrease the good cholesterol. This combination increases the risk of heart diseases and heart attack. That is the reason why the trans fats are the most unhealthy fats. Now, because these are the unhealthy fats, do we have any initiatives globally to reduce the consumption or regulate the production of trans fats? Let us try to look into that matter. In the year 2015, the US Food and Drug Administration (FDA) stated that artificial trans fats are not generally recognized as safe. These are GRAS. Okay, FDA categorized the trans fats as GRAS, means not generally recognized as, not GRAS, not generally recognized as safe. Okay, and the use of such oils must be totally eliminated from the food. Many countries like European Union, Canada, Australia, New Zealand followed the restrictions on usage of the trans fats in the manufactured food content, packaged food and all those things, fast food, processed food, packaged food. The World Health Organization kept a target of having a world free of trans fats, world free from the industrially produced trans fats. Naturally also we have very few amount of trans fats in our body formed due to various mechanisms, but most of these trans fats are formed industrially. So, WHO kept a goal of making the world free from the industrially produced trans fat by the end of 2025. So, let us see whether this goal will be met or not. This is a story of fatty acids. Now, let us see about another type of fat called as triglycerides. Okay. These are very important topics, like say for example, sometimes if you go to a diagnostic center and get your lipid profile, these are all the terms that you see in the test report, okay, like triglycerides, LDL levels, HDL levels. So these are very important in general for any competitive exam and of course also for the UPSC. So we are discussing these topics. Now, let us see about the triglycerides. What are the triglycerides? Okay, we already understood about fatty acids, right? So, 3 fatty acid chains. What do you mean by fatty acid chains? CH3, a long chain of CH2s, okay, like 18, 20, 22, a very long chain of CH2s, and COOH. This is a fatty acid. 3 fatty acid chains are attached, 3 such chains are attached to glycerol, a chemical called as glycerol. They are called as triglycerides. Tri means 3. Because 3 fatty acid chains are attached. Where are they attached? Glycerol. So therefore they are called as triglycerides. By the way, one good thing is, you don't have to remember these structures. Nobody will ask you to draw these structures in the exam. So don't feel that this is complicated. You just have to remember that there is a chemical called glycerol. To that, if we add 3 fatty acids, then we will get a triglyceride. Same way, you don't have to remember, you don't have to draw the structure of the cis fat and trans fat in the examination. I am using the images only to properly explain you the concept. Same way, this saturated, unsaturated, polyunsaturated fatty acids also, you will not have to draw any of these structures in the exam. So don't worry about, okay, how to remember the structures, right? So now okay, so we are discussing about the triglycerides. So as we have already understood, to the glycerol molecule, if 3 fatty acids are added, that is called as a triglyceride. Are these healthy for us? No. Triglycerides are also considered as harmful fats. What are all the harmful fats that we have seen? Saturated fats, triglycerides as of now. Okay. So they can be categorized as either saturated fats or unsaturated fats. What do you mean by this? Triglyceride is 3 fatty acid chains added to the glycerol. If the added fatty acids are saturated fats, I mean to this glycerol, if we add 3 unsaturated fats, 3 unsaturated fatty acids, then they are called as unsaturated triglycerides. To the same glycerol, if we add 3 saturated fatty acids, then they are called saturated triglycerides. I repeat, triglyceride is 3 fatty acid chains added to one glycerol molecule. To the glycerol, if we add 3 saturated fatty acids, that is a saturated triglyceride, and to the glycerol, if we add 3 unsaturated fatty acids, that is an unsaturated triglyceride. High triglycerides may contribute to atherosclerosis. What is atherosclerosis? I have already explained it. Okay. Formation of a fatty plaque in the blood vessels so that the blood flow will get obstructed. Okay. So it can lead to atherosclerosis, which increases the risk of heart stroke, heart attack. Also, extremely high levels of triglycerides can also damage our pancreas. These are the problems due to the triglycerides. Now moving on to the cholesterol. Already I mentioned the terms good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, LDL, HDL. So now let us try to understand what these terms means. First of all, what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a waxy, fat-like substance that is found in all cells of our body. All our body cells will have cholesterol. Cholesterol is not bad. Cholesterol is very healthy and it is compulsory. Like for example, our body needs cholesterol to manufacture the hormones and vitamin D. Can you think about a few hormones which are manufactured from the cholesterol? For example, testosterone. In this word, you can listen the word sterone, sounding like steroid. So the raw material to make the testosterone is cholesterol. The raw material needed to make testosterone, the male sex hormone, is cholesterol. Same way, progesterone. What is progesterone? It is female sex hormone. This is also sounding like steroid. Okay, cholesterol, sterone. Cholesterol is a raw material to manufacture the progesterone also. But not only testosterone and progesterone, cholesterol forms the raw material for the manufacture of several hormones in our body. Also, we need cholesterol for our body to manufacture the vitamin D. You know that vitamin D is the only vitamin that our body can manufacture. Remaining all vitamins we have to consume in the food. Of course, we have to consume vitamin D also in the food, but a little amount of vitamin D our body also manufactures. But for our body to manufacture vitamin D, we need cholesterol as the raw material. Okay, we understood that cholesterol is very important for our body, but too much is too bad. And how much is good? Whatever cholesterol our body requires, our body can manufacture it. It means cholesterol is not an essential fat. This is not a compulsory component in the food. In the food, we don't have to daily consume a little bit of cholesterol in a planned manner. Our body knows how to manufacture the cholesterol. So the body makes all the cholesterol that it needs. Cholesterol is also found in the foods like animal foods like egg yolks, meat, dairy products like cheese, paneer, milk, yogurt. All dairy products and all animal products have cholesterol. What does it mean? Don't we have cholesterol in the plants? Yes, we do not have cholesterol in the plants. Plants do not contain the cholesterol. Only animal cells will have the cholesterol. So, in the food we can get cholesterol from all the animal sources, including the dairy products. When there is too much of cholesterol in the blood, it can combine with other substances to form the plaque. As I have already explained here, it will form a plaque. Okay? When there is more cholesterol, it will combine with the other substances, other types of fats, okay, to form the plaques. The plaques will stick to the walls of the arteries. As you can see here, they will stick to the wall of the arteries. Okay. This buildup of the plaques is known as atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a fatty plaque deposition in the blood vessels, importantly arteries. It can lead to coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease. Okay, first of all, what do you mean by coronary arteries? As you all have studied in your school days, arteries are the blood vessels that supply the blood from the heart to various body organs. And veins are the blood vessels which will collect the impure blood from various organs and they will bring them back to the heart. So, on the whole, heart is an organ which is providing blood to remaining all organs of our body. Now comes the question. The heart which is pumping the blood to all other organs, does it also need blood for its own functioning? I repeat, the heart which is pumping the blood for various other organs, does it also need blood for its own functioning? Yes. So, the arteries that will supply the blood to the heart for the heart's functioning are called as coronary arteries. Coronary arteries. So, atherosclerosis in the coronary arteries will block the blood supply to the heart. Atherosclerosis, that is a fatty plaque deposition in the coronary arteries that will supply the blood to the heart. I mean the arteries that supply the blood to the heart. If there is a plaque in that, okay, it will lead to a blockage of blood supply to the heart. With the lack of blood supply, the person can also experience a stroke, cardiac arrest, etc. So, atherosclerosis, blockages, heart stroke, cardiac arrest, these can be the problems because of the consumption of excess cholesterol. What is excess? In a way, any cholesterol that we consume is excess only, because whatever cholesterol that our body needs, our body can manufacture it. It is not an essential fat. This is basically about the cholesterol. Now we are discussing about lipoproteins or lipoproteins. Okay, lipoproteins or lipoproteins. In this you can observe two words, lipo related to lipids, that means fat plus protein complex. It means fat, that is the cholesterol. Okay, which fat? Cholesterol will combine with the proteins to form lipoproteins or lipoproteins. I repeat, fat, which fat? Cholesterol will combine with the proteins to form the lipoproteins. But why does the cholesterol combine with the proteins? Because in our body, the fats cannot be transported individually in our bloodstream. For example, this is our blood vessel. In the blood vessel, the fat cannot be transported individually. If our blood needs to transport the fat, definitely the fat must combine with protein. I repeat, only fat cannot be transported by our blood. If the blood needs to transport the fat from one organ to the other organ, definitely the fat must combine with the protein. So that fat plus protein complex are called as lipoproteins. Cholesterol plus protein is called as lipoproteins. We have three types of lipoproteins. HDL, high density lipoprotein, very simple. If that lipoprotein or if that lipoprotein, fat plus protein complex, this fat plus protein, yellow color fat, red color protein, this complex is a high density molecule. I mean, its density is more, mass per unit area density. If it is a high density substance, we call it as HDL, high density lipoprotein. And if the density of this cholesterol plus fat molecule, the cholesterol plus protein complex, okay, cholesterol plus protein complex, if its density is very low, then it is called as low density lipoprotein. And if the lipoprotein's density is very low, I mean very lightweight, very low density lipoproteins are called as VLDL, very low density lipoproteins. These are the three types of lipoproteins. I repeat quickly. Okay. In our bloodstream, fats cannot be transported individually. They need the support of proteins to get transported. So the fats will combine with the proteins. Fat plus protein will form lipoprotein. Which fat will combine with the protein? Cholesterol. When the cholesterol combined to the protein, it will form the lipoprotein. If the lipoprotein's density is high, we call it as HDL. If the lipoprotein's density is low, we call it as LDL. And if the lipoprotein's density is very low, we call it as VLDL. Okay? And out of these, we are calling the HDLs, that is high density lipoproteins, as good cholesterol. So, what is good cholesterol? The cholesterol, okay, which is in the form of HDL. Okay, the cholesterol which is in the form of HDL is called good cholesterol. LDL and VLDL, very low density lipoproteins, VLDLs, they are called as bad cholesterol. Okay, we understood what is good cholesterol, what is bad cholesterol, but why like that? Why this is called good cholesterol? Why that is called bad cholesterol? Because, okay, the HDL, high density lipoproteins, okay, they are called good cholesterol because they carry other types of cholesterol. What is the function of HDLs? They carry other types of cholesterol from various parts of our body to the liver. Okay, HDL cholesterol will carry the other cholesterol to the liver from various body parts to the liver. Liver then removes the cholesterol from the body. Liver will metabolize that particular cholesterol, kind of digest it, metabolize that type of cholesterol. I repeat, high density lipoprotein is called good cholesterol because it will carry the other types of cholesterols from the body organs, to the liver. Okay, from various body organs to the liver. HDL will carry. Then the liver will, okay, metabolize the cholesterol so that we can digest the cholesterol. Therefore, this is called as good cholesterol. I mean, HDL will decrease the cholesterol level in our blood. HDL decreases the cholesterol level in our blood. Why? Because it is carrying the other cholesterol to the liver and the liver will metabolize it. Whereas LDLs, low density lipoproteins, and VLDLs, they are called as bad cholesterol because they transport other types of fat to the organs and arteries. I mean, in a way, they do opposite, okay, when compared to the HDLs. HDL is carrying the cholesterols from the organs to the liver, whereas LDL and VLDL will carry the cholesterol to the organs, not only to the organs, to the blood vessels. Okay, see, for example, okay, if the LDL and VLDL carry the cholesterol to various body organs and also including the blood vessels, then what happens? LDL is carrying the cholesterol to the blood vessels. Then the blood vessels, okay, will develop the plaque. This leads to atherosclerosis. So, what is the problem with LDL and VLDLs, very low density lipoproteins? They will carry the cholesterols to the blood vessels and other organs of the body. So, it will lead to heart problems, diabetes, and many other issues. VLDLs, fine. LDLs and VLDLs both will carry the fats to the blood vessels, isn't it? LDLs, VLDLs, both will carry the fats to the blood vessels. So, therefore, they will form blockage of the blood vessel, atherosclerosis. Then what is the difference between LDL and VLDL? VLDL mainly carries triglycerides to the blood vessels, and LDLs mainly carry cholesterol to the blood vessels. That is the difference between the two. Okay. With this we understood about the cholesterol. If you remember, we have seen that the cholesterol is present only in the animal sources. Plants do not have the cholesterol. Okay. Plants don't have cholesterol, but do they have any other sterols? Yes. Okay. Plants have sterols called as phytosterols. Now, it will generate a curiosity, that is, are they good or bad? Are the phytosterols good or bad? Interestingly, the phytosterols are very good. The phytosterols are very good. Okay. Why they are good? What happens here? These are the plant-based compounds that are structurally like cholesterol. Now, let us suppose this is our intestine. In the intestine, we have kind of, let us suppose this is receptor for cholesterol. Receptor for the cholesterol. Now let us assume, okay, this is cholesterol, okay, and this is phytosterol. Now, phytosterols resemble the cholesterol. They are very much like the cholesterol. So now what happens? Okay, phytosterol, cholesterol, both will fight for the receptor which is present on the intestine. In the intestine, we have receptors for the cholesterol. Now, if the phytosterol binds to these receptors, because of this what happens? Okay, because of this, the receptors are occupied by phytosterol. So therefore, okay, the intestine cannot absorb the cholesterol. Intestine cannot absorb the cholesterol. so that the cholesterol will get excreted. Okay, I repeat, phytosterols are the sterols found in the plants. They are good for us, healthy for us. Reason is phytosterols resemble the cholesterol. In our intestine we have receptors for the cholesterol, but because the phytosterols very much resemble the cholesterol, the phytosterols will bind to these receptors. Now there is no vacancy for the cholesterol, so the intestine fails to absorb the cholesterol and the cholesterol will get excreted without getting absorbed. So the cholesterol levels in our body will decrease. So when you consume more phytosterols, they will reduce the cholesterol levels in our body. So this is a story of phytosterols. Now, as I told you in the beginning of this session, I will provide some practice questions at the end of the topics that we are discussing. These practice questions will help you to understand what kind of questions will come in the exam. So, here are a few practice questions. What you have to do is go through these questions after the class. Answer these questions and also give me these answers in the comment section after the session. And you can cross check whether your answer is correct or not. You can cross check whether your answer is correct or not. And if it is correct, why it is correct. If it is wrong, why it is wrong. I mean explanation for that particular answer. Along with the PDF in the Telegram channel, I will upload those correct answers along with the explanations. So the process is solve these questions, give your answers in the comment section, and then you can cross check your answers and get the explanation in the PDF provided in the Telegram channel. So here are the questions. 1, 2, this is about the triglycerides, phytosterols. Now let us move on to another macronutrient, that is the sugars and carbohydrates. First, let us see different types of sugars. This is quite a simple topic. The table sugar or the cane sugar, means sugar which is coming from the sugar cane, is called as sucrose. What is the cane sugar? Sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide. Di means 2. Disaccharide means 2 sugar molecules. What are those 2 sugars? One is glucose and the other one is fructose. These are the 2 sugar molecules we have. That is nothing but the table sugar, common sugar or cane sugar. Next, milk sugar is lactose. Lactose is milk sugar. The sugar found in the milk is lactose. This is also a disaccharide, means it will also have 2 sugars. What are they? Glucose and galactose. And then the fruit sugar is fructose. This is a monosaccharide. I mean this is only 1 sugar in the fructose. And then galactose, as we have already seen. What is lactose? Look at here carefully. What is lactose? Lactose, the milk sugar, is made up of glucose and galactose. So we can say that the milk products are also rich in galactose. Milk products are rich in lactose, of course, but the milk products are also rich in galactose because lactose is a combination of glucose and galactose. So it is mainly found in the milk and dairy products but also found in low quantities in the other foods. Next. So we have seen about the sucrose, fructose, lactose, galactose, glucose, etc. Now, what is the most harmful sugar we have? What is the most harmful sugar we have? Interestingly, the most harmful sugar is fructose. We think that the fruits are very healthy and we try to consume more fruits in our food. But interestingly, the fruit sugar fructose is the most harmful sugar among all the other sugars. It means even fruits are not good when we consume in excess. Of course, I am not telling you that the fruits are unhealthy. Fruits are healthy for the other reasons, for the vitamins they have, for the minerals they have, for the fiber they have, the antioxidants they have. So we need to eat the fruits for the antioxidants, fiber, okay, vitamins and minerals. But what is the bad thing in the fruits? Okay, that is fructose. Okay, so fructose is a harmful sugar. But why the fructose is harmful sugar? Because our digestive system cannot absorb the fructose. Our digestive system cannot digest the fructose, cannot absorb the fructose. When the digestive system cannot absorb the fructose, what happens? More fructose levels will be there in the blood. So it will increase the sugar levels in the blood. Sugar levels in the blood. I repeat, fructose, fruit sugar, our digestive system cannot absorb it, means its levels will increase in the blood, means more sugar in the blood. We call this condition as hyper means more, glycemia, hyperglycemia. Glyco, the word glyco is related to sugar, and the word amia is related to blood. For example, anemia we say means no blood or bloodlessness or less blood, or bacteremia we say, more bacteria in the blood, or cholesterolemia we say, more cholesterol in the blood. So the suffix amia means blood. So more blood in the, more sugar in the blood. Hyperglycemia. Why? Because the digestive system cannot absorb it. If the digestive system cannot absorb the fructose, where does the fructose go? It will go into the blood. So the blood sugar levels will increase, hyperglycemia. So it will lead to type 2 diabetes and other problems. That is the reason why fructose is the worst sugar that we can consume. Now, after understanding about the types of sugars, now let us see about insulin resistance. To understand insulin resistance, firstly we should know about what is insulin. Insulin is a hormone. What is its duty? Its duty is to decrease the blood glucose levels. Its duty is to reduce the blood glucose levels. Then, how does the insulin reduce the blood glucose levels? For example, let us suppose these are our cells, our body cells. Okay? Then, now, let us assume this is the glucose. The insulin will try to send the glucose into our body cells. Okay? Insulin will send the glucose into our body cells. And what are these structures? These structures is a gate, like a gate, or we can also call it as a receptor. Okay? Receptor for glucose. Okay, now let us suppose we have high sugar levels in our blood. Then what happens? Insulin will be released. The insulin will trigger opening of this gate. This gate will open and the glucose will go into the cell. When all the glucose is pushed into the cells, then what happens? The glucose levels, the blood glucose levels will decrease. Why? Because the glucose entered into the cells. It is not in the blood, it is pushed into the cells. Then what is glucose resistance? Glucose resistance means even when you have very high levels of insulin, insulin is present, but the gates are not opening. The glucose is not entering into the cells. The cells became resistant to the insulin. They are not responding to the insulin. They do not open the gate and let the glucose inside. So because of this, what happens? The glucose cannot go into the cells. So the blood glucose levels will increase. This condition is called as insulin resistance. We can also call this as type 2 diabetes. I repeat, in the blood you have more glucose. Then the insulin will get released. The insulin will try to push the glucose into the cells. The cells will open the gate to the glucose in response to the insulin. But what is insulin resistance? Insulin is there, but the cells are not responding to insulin. They are not opening the gates. The glucose is not going into the cells. So glucose will accumulate in the blood. It will lead to increased blood glucose levels. Okay, that is hyper, that is more, glyco means sugar, amia means blood, more sugar in the blood. Also hyperinsulinemia. In biology we have a few root words. If you observe them, it is quite easy to remember these terms also. Hyper means more. Here what is hyper? Insulin. Where the insulin is hyper? In the blood. I told you amia means blood. More insulin in the blood can also lead to more sugar in the blood, hyperglycemia, because of the insulin resistance. We also call this condition as a type 2 diabetes. Okay. Then what are the problems due to hyperglycemia? Hyper, that is more, glyco, sugar, amia, blood, more sugar in the blood. What are the problems? Diabetes, obesity, heart problems, metabolic syndromes like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, more cysts on the ovaries. Okay. So these are the problems because of this. Now let us try to understand the artificial sweeteners. Okay. Nothing to explain in this. This is a list of artificial sweeteners. Important, anytime you can get in any competitive exam, and particularly in the UPSC as well. Okay. Artificial sweeteners. What does it mean? Most of them, they are not sugars. They are not sugars. They are not carbohydrates. They are not sugars. They are not carbohydrates. But they taste sweet. They taste sweet. So, what happens? Who can use these artificial sweeteners? One is diabetics. Because diabetics already have more glucose in the blood. So, they should not consume more glucose. So, therefore, artificial sweeteners are good for them because they are not sugars but they taste sweet. Second one, they also help for obesity because carbohydrates have very high calorific value. They are very high calorie food. It means they lead to obesity. Artificial sweeteners, all artificial sweeteners have low calories. Low calorie. So therefore, obese people can consume. Also, most of them are not sugars, but they just taste sweet. So therefore, diabetics can consume. Okay. Now let us see a list of such artificial sweeteners. Okay. The first one is sucralose. It is made by adding chlorine to the sugar. Take a sugar, add chlorine to it, you will get sucralose. Is it a sugar? Yes, it is a sugar, but it is a modified sugar. We have added chlorine to it. So our body will not recognize it as a sugar. Our body will not recognize it as a sugar. So we will not get calories, 0 calories, but it will taste sweet. That is sucralose. Next one, saccharin. It is not a sugar, it is a chemical called as benzosulfimide. Next, acesulfame. This is also not a sugar, it is a chemical called acesulfame potassium. They both are not sugars but they taste sweet. This is a sugar but modified sugar, so our body will think that it is not a sugar. Next, aspartame and neotame. What are they? Aspartame and neotame. Look at this, they are made from amino acids. Okay, we have amino acids called as aspartic acid. Amino acid called aspartic acid. From the aspartic acid, I mean a little modified version of aspartic acid is aspartame. A modified version of aspartic acid is aspartame. Okay, so this is an amino acid. It is not a sugar. It is not a sugar. It is an amino acid. So it cannot lead to diabetes. It cannot increase the sugar levels in the body, but it will taste sweet. Okay. And same way, neotame is also a modified version of aspartic acid. What is aspartic acid? It is an amino acid, the building blocks of proteins. Amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins. So it is something related to protein. It is not a sugar. So it will not increase sugar level, but it will help in reducing the, but it will taste sweet. So it will not contribute to diabetes. I repeat, okay, aspartame and neotame are made from amino acid called aspartic acid, and phenylalanine, another amino acid called phenylalanine. They are amino acids, not sugars. So therefore they cannot increase sugar level in the blood, but taste sweet. Okay, so we can use them as artificial sweeteners. Okay, and all artificial sweeteners are much sweeter than the table sugar. Sucralose is 600 times sweeter than the table sugar. Saccharin is 700 times, up to 700 times sweeter than the sugar. Acesulfame is 200 times, aspartame 200 times, and neotame is the sweetest artificial sugar. It is around 13,000 times sweeter than the regular sugar. I mean, consuming very little quantity of this will add enough taste to our food products. And stevia, you cannot actually call it as an artificial sweetener because it is from a plant product called as stevia plant leaves. This is also up to 400 times sweeter than the sugar. Xylitol, erythritol, what are they? Take a sugar, add an alcohol to it. They are sugar alcohols. Means are sugars only, but modified sugars, so that our body will not recognize it as a sugar. The innocent body will think that it is not a sugar. So it also cannot increase the sugar level, but it will taste sweet. This is up to, okay, xylitol is just like the table sugar, not sweeter than the table sugar, but erythritol is only 60 to 80%. I mean, erythritol is less sweeter than the table sugar. You have to consume more erythritol or more erythritol to for the food to taste similar. Okay. Next, monk fruit sweetener. This also cannot be called as an artificial sweetener because it is also made from a fruit, a plant substance called monk fruit. Okay. So these are the artificial sweeteners, or the sweeteners which are not sugars, or the sweeteners which are modified sugars. Okay, sucralose, xylitol, erythritol are modified sugars. Aspartame, neotame, etc. they are not sugars. Okay, like that. Now let us see about a very famous flavor enhancer called as monosodium glutamate, MSG. Okay, this is also made from glutamic acid amino acid. This is also made from glutamic acid amino acid. Okay, monosodium glutamate. Take the amino acid called glutamic acid, add one sodium to it, that is monosodium glutamic acid or monosodium glutamate. We call it as Chinese salt or Ajinomoto, flavor enhancer. So that is monosodium glutamate. Many times we hear about it in the news, that is certain countries discarded the Indian spices because they have monosodium glutamate, or the Maggi banned for a few days because it contains high levels of MSG, like that. That is about the MSG. Now, here are some practice questions. Solve these practice questions after the class. I did not give an answer for it. You attempt solving these questions, give your answers in the comment section, and then you can cross-check your answers in the PDF which I provide after the session in the Telegram channel. Okay, one more question. Okay, now let us see about amino acids. Okay, amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. We have three types of amino acids. First one, essential amino acids. Essential amino acids. The amino acids that our body cannot manufacture. These amino acids our body cannot manufacture. So essentially we have to consume them in the food. Okay. And second one are non-essential amino acids. Does not mean that they are less important. Our body need all the amino acids. All means how many? We have a total of 20 amino acids. Okay. Our body needs all the 20 amino acids, but some of these amino acids our body can manufacture. So they are called non-essential amino acids. And the other amino acids our body cannot manufacture. So they are essential components of the food. They are called essential amino acids. Okay. And here is a list of essential amino acids. Okay. Non-essential amino acids. It means these our body can manufacture. These amino acids our body can manufacture. These amino acids our body cannot manufacture. Because our body cannot manufacture these amino acids, so these are, okay, essential in the food. They are essential in the food, very important in the food, because our body cannot manufacture them. Whereas the non-essential amino acids are not important in the food. They are not important in the food because our body can manufacture them. Whereas this group are the conditionally essential amino acids. It means there is an if clause here. I mean, if you already have all the other amino acids, your body can manufacture them from the other amino acids. For example, okay, if you already have phenylalanine, our body can convert phenylalanine into tyrosine. So it means if phenylalanine is present, then tyrosine is not essential because you can manufacture. First understand what do you mean by essential. I will just repeat that point. Okay. For our body all amino acids are essential. So essential amino acids means the amino acids which our body cannot manufacture. So they are essential in the food. Okay. These are conditionally essential, means there is an if condition there. If you already have phenylalanine, then tyrosine is not essential because your body can manufacture it from phenylalanine. I repeat, if you already have phenylalanine, then tyrosine is not essential because your body can manufacture the tyrosine from phenylalanine. But if your body do not contain phenylalanine, then the tyrosine is essential. So whether these amino acids are essential or not, I mean whether our body can manufacture these amino acids or not, it depends on the presence or absence of the other amino acids. Therefore, they are called as conditionally essential amino acids. In the exam point of view, these are not very important, but the essential amino acids are important. Okay, you can memorize this list of essential amino acids. And amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins. Okay, and why do we need proteins in our body? We need proteins for our hair, proteins for our muscles, and not only external muscles like some biceps or triceps or calf muscle, even internal muscles, cardiac muscle, uterus is a muscle, blood vessels are the muscles. Proteins will make up all those things. Okay, and most of our enzymes and hormones are also proteins. Also in the VLDLs, HDLs we have seen, we also need proteins to carry the lipids. So the functions of the proteins in our body is endless. Proteins they form the hormones, they form the enzymes, they form the muscles like cardiac muscle, uterus muscle, skeletal muscles like biceps, triceps, abs muscles, calf muscles, etc. They carry the lipids. So countless number of functions they perform. So that is about the amino acids and proteins. That is all what we have seen about the nutrition. Now let us see a few topics from the nanotechnology. What is nanotechnology? Nanotechnology is a science of manipulating the material which is very small in size, that is less than 100 nanometer size. When you do anything with the nanoparticles, that is particles which are very small. Small means how small? Less than 100 nanometers. That technology is called as nanotechnology. Okay, in this session we cannot discuss every topic in nanotechnology, but we are going to discuss about the quantum dots. What are quantum dots? Quantum dots are tiny particles or nanocrystals. Nanocrystals means what? Nano-sized, nanometer-sized crystals. These are made up of semiconducting material. Quantum dots, they are made up of what? Semiconducting material. They are very tiny. Very tiny means how tiny they are? 2 to 10 nanometers. So we can also say very small nanoparticles are quantum dots, because a regular nanoparticle is up to 100 nanometer size, but a quantum dot is only up to 10 nanometer size. It means already nanoparticles are small, but quantum dots are even smaller. The smallest nanoparticles are called as quantum dots. Okay. Why are we discussing about the quantum dots? They absorb light, okay, and transform that light to a different color. I mean, they will absorb one color of light and emit another color of light. So therefore, the quantum dots have bright colors. So this will make the quantum dots suitable for QLED TVs. Okay, I hope you might have heard about this quantum dot LED TV, not a regular LED, quantum dot LED TV, QLEDs. Why do we use the quantum dots in QLEDs? Because I told you they absorb one color light, emit a different color light. So they form very bright colors. So the QLED TV will give us more brighter colors, a more range of colors, so a better resolution when compared to a regular LED TV. We can also use the quantum dots in currency notes, paper currency, okay, in the inks, so that counterfeit currency is not possible. Nobody can understand what exact colors we have used, because the quantum dots can have a very large range of colors. The quantum dots are in a very large range of colors. I mean, in the pink itself you can expect some 10,000 shades of pink. So a person trying to make a counterfeit note will know that it is pink color, but which shade of the pink color? Okay, so that is how we can also use quantum dots in making the currency notes, paper currency. We can use them in solar panels. Okay, why? Because quantum particles, that is the nanoparticles, will have a more surface area. They have more surface area. So therefore, if we use the nanoparticles in the solar panels, when we use nanoparticles in the solar panels, a small solar panel can harvest more solar energy into electrical energy. I repeat, the nanoparticles have more surface area. So, if we use nanoparticles or even the quantum dots in the solar panels, a very small sized solar panel can harvest more solar energy into the electrical energy. We can also use such solar panels in the spacecrafts also. These are a few applications of the quantum dots. But Now we have to understand why the quantum dots will provide such bright colors. What is the reason for them to have such a high range of colors? Okay, that is because of a concept called as quantum confinement. I repeat the word. The bright colors of the quantum dots are because of a phenomenon called as quantum confinement. Then, what is quantum confinement? Okay, to understand quantum confinement, we need to know the basic structure of an atom. This is the basic structure of an atom. Okay, the atom contains three subatomic particles: electrons, protons, neutrons. Neutrons and protons are inside the nucleus. Neutrons and protons are inside the nucleus, and electrons keep orbiting around the nucleus in orbitals or energy levels or bands. I repeat, electrons are orbiting around the nucleus in various orbitals. We can also call them as energy levels or bands. Then, these bands are two types. This band is conduction band. Look at here, this one, the outer one is a conduction band, and this band or this orbital or this energy level, the lower, the inner one, is called as valence band. Okay? Then, when this atom absorb the light energy, let us suppose you are giving light energy to this atom. When this atom absorb the light energy, the electron will take up this energy and will jump from the valence band to the conduction band. That is from the low energy level to the high energy level. I repeat, when we give light energy to this atom, the electron will take up this energy and will jump from the valence band to the conduction band. But the electrons in the conduction band are unstable and they will fall back to the valence band after some time. And when the electron fall back from the high energy level to the low energy level, high energy level to low energy level, that is conduction band to the valence band, then the atom will emit the energy. Energy is emitted. I repeat, when the light energy is absorbed, electron will jump from valence band to conduction band. When the electron falls back from the conduction band to the valence band, the light energy will get emitted. And the energy difference between valence band and conduction band is called as band gap. Band gap, the energy difference between valence band and conduction band. Means what? I told you that the valence band is low energy state, conduction band is high energy state. This is high energy, this is low energy. High, low. But what is the difference between the two? How high is it? How low is it? The energy difference between the conduction band and valence band is called as the band gap. Okay. Then what do you mean by more band gap? What do you mean by more band gap? More band gap means what? More energy difference between valence band and conduction band. I mean, you need a lot of energy to send the electron from the valence band to the conduction band. You need a lot of energy to send the electron from the valence band to the conduction band. Or more energy, I mean a high energy light, a high energy light will be emitted. High energy light will be emitted when the electron falls back from the conduction band to the valence band. I repeat, what do you mean by more band gap? More band gap means more energy difference between conduction band and valence band. It means High energy light will be emitted when the electron falls from the conduction band to the valence band. That is the meaning of high band gap. Now, let us try to understand this concept called as quantum confinement. Let us understand the concept called as quantum confinement. Quantum confinement means what? Listen carefully. In the nanomaterials, when the particle size is very small, in the nanomaterial, when the particle size is very small, the electrons in the atom will feel congested or confined, like the people in a crowded bus. For example, when you are in a crowded bus, you will feel as if you are confined, as if you are congested. You don't have enough space to freely move around. Same way, in the nanomaterial, when the particle size is very small, the electrons inside the atom, okay, will be congested or confined, means they do not have enough place to freely move around. In such conditions, you need a lot of energy to push the electron from the valence band to the conduction band. Why like that? Let us try to understand with the example of the crowded bus. Obviously, let us suppose if you want to push a person forward, if you want to push this man forward in a crowded bus, you need a lot of energy to push this man because there is no space here. Okay, same way, when the particle size is very small, the electrons inside the atoms are confined like this, crowded like this, congested like this. So you need a lot of energy to push the electron from the valence band to the conduction band. But here, if the particle size is large, then the electrons in the atom have enough space like a vacant bus. Here, if you want to push this man forward, you can easily push because there is a lot of place here. You don't need much energy to push this man forward. Same way, when the particle size is large, okay, you don't need much energy to push the electron from valence band to conduction band. I repeat, in the nanomaterial, when the particle size is very small, okay, the electrons are crowded, congested or confined. That is called as quantum confinement. In this condition, you need a lot of energy to push the electron from the valence band to the conduction band, or a high energy light will be emitted, okay, when the electron falls back from the conduction band to the valence band. Okay, this concept is called as quantum confinement. So quantum confinement can be defined as increase in the band gap with decrease in the particle size. With decrease in the particle size. As the particle size decreases, band gap increases. Okay, so let us try to understand here. Okay, look at this. This is a smaller particle. Complete focus on the topic, please. It's a very small particle. So here what happens? The electrons are confined. Means what? Crowded, no place, like this kind of a condition. Why? The particle size is very small. There are so many electrons. So they are getting confined or congested. Okay, very small particle, the electrons got confined or crowded. So you need more energy to push the electron from the valence band to the conduction band. You need more energy to push the electron from the valence band to the conduction band. Then what happens? High energy light gets emitted when the electron falls back from the conduction band to the valence band. When the electron falls back from the conduction band to the valence band, high energy light will get emitted. And high energy light means blue light. High energy light means blue light. You know, we have total 7 visible colors, that is Vibjar, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. But they can be broadly categorized into only 3 major colors: red, green, blue. Okay, look at here, red, green, blue. These are the only 3 colors. In this, if you observe, the blue color light is on this side of the spectrum, and the red color light is on this side of the spectrum. So blue color light means what? High energy light or low wavelength light. High energy or low wavelength light. Okay. So now let us summarize this. This particle, I repeat point by point, listen carefully. This is a small particle. So the electrons got confined, crowded, there is no place. Means you need a lot of energy to push the electron to the higher energy level. Means high energy light gets emitted when the electron falls back to the low energy level. High energy light means blue light. That is the reason why smaller particle is giving blue light and the larger particle, okay, the larger particle is emitting the red light. It means light, the color of the quantum dot. The color of the quantum dot depends on the size of the quantum dot. Larger particles will give red color light. Smaller particles will emit blue color light. But not only these 3 colors, they are just 3 basic colors we have. Okay, they have numerous, countless shades. So, with the increase or decrease of every nanometer, the quantum dots color will change. Therefore, these are all the applications of quantum dots. QLEDs, paper currency, solar panels, spacecrafts, solar panels in the spacecrafts, etc. So this is about the quantum dots, QLED TVs, okay. And we can also use them for labeling the biological molecules. For example, I want to test, okay, whether a particular patient is COVID-19 positive or negative, okay, but I cannot see the coronavirus. So, okay, to that particular coronavirus, if the nano gold is added, then what happens? You can see that in red color. You can see that in the red color. So red color appears means positive. Red color is absent means negative. So like that we can diagnose the diseases also. Okay. Inks and polymers in the paper currency. Okay. And then used in the solar panels. NASA also used quantum dots in the solar panels in its spacecrafts. So these are the applications. I repeat, due to their bright colors, not only bright colors, unlimited range of colors, so many colors. So you will get a better resolution. So we can use in QLED TVs. We can also use in labeling the biological molecules, like in the diagnostic tests. Okay, coronavirus, flu, Ebola, Zika, Nipah, Marburg, any virus we can diagnose because the viruses are transparent and microscopic, you cannot see them. So tag them with the nano gold, then they can appear in red color. By the way, interestingly, we know that gold is a yellow color metal, but nano gold, if the gold is made into nanoparticles, okay, then their color will be red. Bulk gold, normal gold is yellow, but nano gold is red color. So red color appears means positive, red color does not appear means negative, no disease, the patient is not having the disease. Like that we can also use in the diagnostics. Because of their higher surface area, we can also use them in the solar panels, particularly in the spacecrafts. This is about the quantum dots, okay, and their applications. And here are a few questions. Go through these questions and provide your answers, okay, in the comment section after the session. Okay, so I have given 3 questions related to the quantum dots. The next topic we are discussing is carbon allotropes, that we will discuss in our second session. Okay, not only this carbon allotropes, and then after that a few topics from space technology, semiconductors, okay, and radioactivity and their applications. These are the topics that I am planning in our second session. I will repeat: the carbon allotropes, that is one more topic from nanotechnology, a few topics from space technology, one topic from information and communication technology, and another very important topic, that is semiconductors. Okay, semiconductors are very much in the news recently. So about semiconductors and radioactivity, that is also very much in the news recently, radioactivity and its applications. Not nuclear fission, okay, radioactivity and its applications. So these are a few topics that we are going to cover in our second session of Conquer Prelims Phase 2. That's all for this particular class. Thank you so much.